Chapter 7:16 Natural calamities are coming. It was really unlucky for Li Xiao to bump into Naylan Quebec. He had brought back over 1,000 bottles of essential bombs. He thought that he could earn some pocket money from them. $1,000 or $2,000 was a large amount for him. He started selling the essential bombs to others, but the bombs were eventually confiscated by Naylan K. He wished for Naylan K to run away with someone else, but she would not do such a thing. Li Xiao lay down on the table, heavily drunk. He had wanted to treat Lu Shu to a drink, but from the looks of things, he would not be able to pay the bill. When Lu Shu decided to settle the bill, he suddenly realized that Naylan K was already taking out money at the cashier. He vented out his woes, didn't he? Naylan K walked over and smiled. Actually, I feel that there is no need for you to be so strict with him. But I won't involve myself in your affairs, said Lu Shu. Back then, he was humiliated at my place. He took the train back home that night without even saying goodbye. I did not know where he went either. Thus, from then on, I promised that if I met him again, I would not give him any more than is required to buy a train ticket. Every day, I give him $50, said Naylan K. Lu Shu was dumbfounded. Actually, some trains only cost $20. From Li Xiao's distress, plus 999. Lu Shu looked at Li Xiao.
Ha! Ha!
So you have not been knocked out from that alcohol? Lu Shu took out his phone to check. He confirmed, that's right. It only costs $19 for a standing ticket from Luo City to the provincial capital. From Li Xiao's distress, plus 999. Li Xiao tipsily woke up. Naylan, you're here. I love you. Lu Shu was getting a headache from this. Why was he in a frenzy over just some spare change? He could see that Li Xiao was rather heavily drunk. Although he had not yet lost consciousness, his mind was not completely clear either. Under these circumstances, Lu Shu could see how much Li Xiao wanted money. But Naylan K remained unmoved. She said calmly, Li Xiao, do you like my angelic appearance, or my demonic physique? Li Xiao was dumbfounded. I like your humor. Lu Shu was speechless. You are done for, brother.
Ha! Ha!
Let's talk about this when we get back. Naylan K carried Li Xiao on her back and left. The people in the shop had probably never seen such a strong lady. All the people in front of her made way for her. This is love, Lu Shu sighed. He walked back alone. It was still raining. Someone without an umbrella hurriedly brushed past him. Suddenly, he felt as if the rain had stopped. He stepped forward and the rain continued to fall from the sky. He turned back in astonishment and looked at the young man he had just brushed past. It was as if an invisible umbrella was sheltering him. Rain fell on the invisible umbrella and stopped abruptly. The moment Lu Shu walked into the courtyard, he suddenly heard a cracking sound under his foot. He looked and saw that he had stepped on and killed a termite. But the termite was rather strange. It was as big as his thumb and had a much harder shell than ordinary termite. Lu Shu suddenly moved. He moved to the left, bent down and picked up a termite that tried to return into a hole in the ground. It was as big as his thumb as well. Its white and shiny shell was blinding. Its ferocious mouth moved up and down, as if it was about to bite Lu Shu. But since Lu Shu was holding on to its back, it could only bite at air. This termite was very fast. If it wanted to attack an ordinary person would definitely not be able to escape it. Lu Shu took out his phone from the Seal of Lands and called Yu Mingyu. He wanted someone to come and take this specimen. Although he had chanced upon it, he should inform the Heavenly Network about this discovery. The termite was called the Toothless Tiger, as it had great destructive power. Crash. Lu Shu heard a road sign collapse with a crash nearby. He walked over to take a look and saw a few termites going back into the ground. The collapse of the road sign was their masterpiece. As expected, everything had their drawbacks along with their benefits. As humans enjoyed the benefits brought about by the magically rich era, they also had to face the effects of that double-edged sword. But Lu Shu thought, humans had always inhabited this place. This was mankind's greatest advantage. Now, there was organization and discipline in the heavenly network. The team had just been formed. There should be no problems dealing with these creatures, right? But did these creatures possess any other advantageous skills? In less than 10 minutes, Yu Mingyu brought a team of people with him. A Class C Earth-type metahuman stood by the road sign. With a roar, all the soil underneath him was suddenly sent flying out. He had opened up a large hole in the ground. The queen is down there. Just kill it and we'll be done. The Earth-type metahuman said, we have been cleaning many ant nests recently. Killing the queen ant should do. They are creatures with a rather complex social structure. After that is destroyed, they can no longer survive. Although they have evolved, they have not yet been able to free themselves from the boundaries of the natural world. Lu Shu asked Yu Mingyu, has this kind of thing been happening often? Yes. Yu Mingyu nodded his head and said, now, we are also thinking of ways to deal with this situation. No matter whether they are termites, ants, insects, or stray dogs, they might suddenly attack. Lu Shu nodded his head and went back. They were experienced with this. There was no need for Lu Shu to hang around either. Lu Shu opened the door and saw Lu Xiaoyu and Little Fury on the sofa watching television. Little Fury had dyed its hair back to its original color. It was very worried that Lu Shu would give it a tattoo of a vulgarity. If that really happened, how would it face its underlings? Lu Shu asked Lu Xiaoyu, recently, there have been many strange creatures in Luo City. Do you know about this? Lu Xiaoyu counted on her fingers. I got Little Fury to bring its underlings to dig up 11 ant nests. Its underlings seem to really like eating those ants. They sounded as if they were eating fries. There were also over 10 stray dogs and cats that suddenly attacked people, as if they had gone mad. They were all killed by Little Fury's underlings. Killing was no longer a strange thing to Lu Xiaoyu. There was nothing unnatural about it. But for a young girl to talk about these kinds of things, it was strangely violent. Lu Shu suddenly realized something. He turned and asked Little Fury, how many underlings do you have now? Little Fury wrote in its little notebook. Over 40,000. Lu Shu gasped in shock. Are you controlling all of them? Yes. Lu Shu thought about it. He took out 2 refresher fruits and diluted them for Little Fury. He gave another 2 refresher fruits to Little Fury for it to eat. Lu Shu said, go and raise their abilities. Remind them that they are forever under your control. Furthermore, when you see any strange creatures about to attack, kill them. Little Fury felt that it was being valued more than before. To be honest, it had wanted to prove himself. But the 2 demon kings at home were so strong that it did not have the chance to do so. Thus, it had smoked, drank and permed its hair out of depression. Now, it was its turn to shine. Little Fury received the fruits and happily wrote on its notebook. Gold will always shine. Lu Shu's expression darkened. Hurry up and shut your mouth. Don't make any mischief now. Little Fury wrote on its notebook with an earnest expression. I, Fury, am willing to smoke, drink and perm my hair for the Lu family. Chapter 717, Human Order. When Lu Xiaoyu told Lu Shu that Little Fury had used its underlings to dig up the termite nests, Lu Shu realized that perhaps Little Fury's underlings could be used on the battlefield. But now, no one knew how severe this disaster would be. If it were on a small scale, then Little Fury's current underlings would be enough to deal with the disaster. Lu Shu asked for more details. Most of Little Fury's underlings had not even reached Class F, there were only slightly over 100 Class Fs. He decided to observe the situation before taking any further action. If the disaster that the magically rich era brought about was not too severe, Lu Shu would have to strictly control Little Fury's army of mice. After all, the day that they lost control over the mice would be the day of a true disaster. Everything had its limit. Lu Shu was very clear of this. But Lu Shu was also slightly curious. Why did it seem as if Lu Xiaoyu and Little Fury had never considered this problem? Lu Xiaoyu was watching Naruto. She thought of something and suddenly asked, "Is the Odin bloodline powerful?" Lu Shu was dumbfounded. It should be quite powerful. Look, in the ancient records, a deity said that he wanted to get rid of criminals, while Odin said that he wanted to get rid of the titans. There are still many criminals in the world, but not a single titan, so it should be quite powerful. From Lu Xiaoyu's distress, plus 666. Lu Xiaoyu said. Lu Shu, don't ever bend over. Lu Shu was dumbfounded. Why? I'm afraid that the water in your brain will spill out, said Lu Xiaoyu expressionlessly. From Lu Shu's distress, plus 666. The points produced were enough to exchange for a chi fruit. After Lu Shu gave the world tree away, he was slightly worried. Would he still be able to obtain fruits? But there did not seem to be any effects on the fruits. Suddenly, Lu Shu received a notification. Nalan K had officially been appointed as the 10th Heavenly King. Lu Shu was dumbfounded. Back then, when Nalan K and Li Xiao came to Africa together, he had a feeling that this would happen. Nalan K's relationship with her family was slowly growing weaker. Instead, she was becoming more involved within the Heavenly Network. Back then at EO, Nalan K had contributed greatly in dealing with Bennett. She had passed all the resources Bennett had on hand to the Heavenly Network. Back then, Lu Shu felt that Nalan K may become a Heavenly King. The Heavenly Network urgently needed the combat power that she possessed, and she had proven herself. But Lu Shu did not realize that Nalan K had become not the 9th Heavenly King, but the 10th. The position of the 9th Heavenly King was still vacant. What was this? At the same time, the entire Heavenly Network was confused. There was no 9th Heavenly King, but there was the 10th Heavenly King? Those who knew what had happened understood, but many were not aware of what had happened. Lu Shu laughed helplessly. This was strange. But it was even more strange for a person like Li Xiao to become a Heavenly King. On the Golden Foundation forum, there were signs of dispute over the changes in animals. Some said that the animals would not change to a large extent. There was no change in their magical pets at home, and they did not cause any mischief. Some said that they had seen a fox in the mountains. Its behavior was very human-like and had a mind of its own. There were also others who said that their husky would sit on the balcony and seduce girls. A self-proclaimed expert released his research findings on the Golden Foundation forum. The findings indicated that the changes would not occur on a large scale, and the animals would not attack humans out of their own initiative. At that time, the news that the redback spider had turned a small town in Australia into a purgatory was still kept classified. Ordinary people around the world did not know about this. Lu Shu laughed coldly. He did not know how this expert had come to that conclusion, but he did not believe him. Earlier, another expert had said that if one often spends money, their frustration will be reduced by 80%, while their EQ would increase. Lu Shu felt that there was nothing wrong about this. But the expert did not say where the money would come from. The next day, all the Luo City Daoyuan class students suddenly received a notification to gather at Luo City International School. Lu Shu knew that this was probably about the changes in animals and plants. When he came to the school, many people had already gathered. The one speaking was Zhong Yutong, who still had his hand in a cast. When Zhong Yutong saw Lu Shu, he suddenly jumped. Then he saw Lu Xiaoyu, who was standing beside Lu Shu. From Zhong Yutong's distress, plus 555. Li Xiao came to Lu Shu. He was very upset. Brother, $50 a day is bad enough. Was that on purpose? Lu Shu sighed with emotion. This is my first time seeing someone who wanted to treat me to a meal, yet acted drunk to avoid paying the bill. From Li Xiao's distress, plus 199. Today, the Heavenly Network had gathered all these people to talk about the changes in the animals. The Daoyuan class students did not have to count their marks or submit a list of their desired schools. Everyone had already taken a long break after coming back from the Lopner remains. Zhong Yutong split everyone according to their ability levels and assigned them into teams. The aim of this was to strengthen the Heavenly Network during their daily patrols. There were now more and more mutated creatures. They had to increase their strength. Over 1,000 new members had just joined. They were very strong as well. Even Class F Daoyuan class students were more than enough to deal with the mutated creatures. After all, the mutated creatures that they had found so far were at most Class F. There should be no problem dealing with creatures that are not even Class F, right? Lu Shu asked when Zhong Yutong came to find him after allocating the teams. Zhong Yutong looked at Lu Xiaoyu. He was somewhat uncomfortable. He did not allocate Lu Shu and Lu Xiaoyu into any teams. He hoped that they would be able to provide support at any time. The problem now is not the creatures that we have discovered, said Zhong Yutong after some thought. These creatures have not only grown in strength. They have formed intelligence as well. Have you thought about this? If they are intelligent enough, will they hide to develop their own strength? Animals can multiply very quickly, much faster than that of humans. Lu Shu was shocked. He suddenly recalled the man-eating lizards outside Lopner. Had these creatures been developing in the dark for a long time? Till now, Lu Shu could not understand how that lizard had bred so many man-eating lizards. It was nailed to the ground, right? Zhong Yutong's phone rang. He listened for about 20 seconds before hanging up. His expression grew serious. Chapter 718, Natural Order. Zhong Yutong said, an ant nest was found under an office building in the downtown region. The foundations of the building has already shown signs of collapse. Fortunately, we found it early and a tragedy has been averted. Lu Shu turned to look at the towering buildings across the cityscape of Luo City. This steel forest was no longer as safe as it appeared. Yet, few residents were aware of the brewing danger. Indeed, the urban landscape was a pleasant sight when viewed through a French window from a high-rise building. But one day, fear would spread across the city when the buildings would start to collapse under the attack of mutated creatures. People would then have nowhere to hide. What was so scary about these creatures was not just their deadliness, but the new social order they brought to the world. Infrastructure, security, standards of living. They would change many aspects of life. In the past, the magical era seemed irrelevant to the commoners. Besides having a new hot topic to gossip about, their work and lifestyle remained unchanged. It was still 9 to 5 work, with some slight entertainment afterwards. Nothing much had changed. But now, danger was looming. The only thing Lu Shu could do now was to order Little Fury to up the abilities of its rat minions as soon as possible. Not individual abilities, though, but to increase the number of Class F rats to about 500. After the ingestion of 2 refresher fruits, Little Fury had once again broken through the bottleneck of his ascension. Much to Lu Shu's consternation, Little Fury's energy waves at the moment were approaching Class B. At the current rate, it was not impossible for him to ascend to Class B. Lu Shu was surprised by the rate of evolution for animals. Their physical aptitude had even surpassed that of strength-type metahumans, despite their lack of cultivation means as compared to humans. Could there be animals plotting against humans in secret? Lu Shu was not sure. When he asked Yu Mingyu for information about mutated creatures, Yu Mingyu slapped the same old reply back at him again. Accessible only by heavenly kings. Lu Shu was not the ninth heavenly king, even though its position was still empty. Lu Shu messaged Yu Mingyu. I've shed my blood for the heavenly network. Accessible only by heavenly kings. In Europe, accessible only by heavenly kings. Screw you, Nya Ting. Screw you too, Yu Mingyu. Xiao Yu, will Big Cat Naughty Pig rebel? Lu Shu asked. He trusted Little Fury but reserved his judgment regarding Big Cat and Naughty Pig. Lu Xiaoyu waved her little hand. Everything's under control. Why do I have a feeling that something big might happen every time you say this? If I remember correctly, it was at Pattaya the last time you said it. That time, you dismantled the entire casino palace and made the whole city get involved in a grand fight, Lu Shu sighed. Lu Xiaoyu interrupted, no, you are wrong. Bad memory. Lu Shu was displeased. My memory is perfect. You forgot that you are a gay, said Lu Xiaoyu. I'm not. Lu Shu was shocked. See? You forgot you are, replied Lu Xiaoyu calmly. From Lu Shu's distress, plus 666. Lu Shu pondered. What a good way to earn distress points. He messaged Yu Mingyu again. Your memory is bad. How so? You forgot that you are a gay. Lu Shu was grinning behind the screen. I didn't. I know I am. From Lu Shu's distress, plus 666. Lu Shu's face darkened. This matter started with Lu Xiaoyu, so all the distress points were credited to her. Meanwhile, Yu Mingyu was utterly confused. Why was he talking about such things late at night? At this moment, there was a loud crash, as though a giant structure was on the brink of collapse. The sound of breaking bricks and concrete bars could be heard from all corners of Luo City. All of a sudden, the night's tranquility was destroyed, and anxiety swept across the whole city. Following Lu Xiaoyu and Little Fury, Lu Shu leaped onto the rooftop of their house. In the west, all the lights were on, and a 14-story-old office building was tilted to one side. All the residents were petrified by the sight. The disaster happened right in their neighborhood, and they were at a loss over what to do. Lu Shu and Lu Xiaoyu dashed out at the same time. They darted about on the rooftops. Lu Shu said, save as many as you can. Okay. Lu Xiaoyu nodded. As a wisp of black smoke, Anthony emerged out of her body and disappeared into the ground. Under this situation, Earth-type metahumans would be a more efficient first responder. Faster. Quick. Lu Shu suddenly accelerated. The building did not collapse at once, seemingly because its internal support structure was still just able to hold on. Lu Shu believed that they would be able to save a few hundred lives if they were fast enough. When they arrived at the scene, the thick layer of dust swept up by the sinking building made it difficult to judge the number of casualties. Everyone in the vicinity, including the onlookers from a district away, were covered in dirt. All of a sudden, all of the dust and dirt fell to the ground. Lu Xiaoyu was here. Sandification. Lu Shu shouted. With a nod, Lu Xiaoyu firmly extended her hand towards the collapsing building. Under Anthony's control, the hard cement and bricks in the structure suddenly softened into granules of sand. Then, cars and people buried underneath were pushed onto the surface, as if they were supported by countless pairs of giant hands under the sand. Undeniably, sandification was the best strategy at the moment. Despite Lu Shu's immense strength, it was impossible for him to push the building back into its original shape like Superman. He was not that strong, not even Li Xianyi or Nie Ting could. Thus, converting hard bricks into sand and dust would significantly minimize the resulting damage. Lu Shu and Lu Xiaoyu were simply doing their best. Then came the ambulances, transporting casualties away at once. Stunned, Lu Shu stared at the scene in front of him. It was disastrous. The cries and howls of survivors and concerned citizens filled the surroundings. Regardless, the sensation of pain was a sign of consciousness, and consequently hope of survival. Some people had left the world before Lu Shu or Lu Xiaoyu could even reach them beneath the fallen concrete. Only then did Zhong Yutong, Li Yixiao, Yu Mingyu and Nailin Ke arrive at the scene. The Heavenly Network members conducted a check on the original foundation of the structure immediately. Soon, they came back with 2 transparent bottles, their expressions grave. Termites. In the bottles, the termites had turned dark brown. There were even a pair of enormous wings on their back. The movement of their mandibles looked terrifying. "Where is the Ant Queen?" Lu Shu asked. "Not found," replied the man, "but we suspect that they have evolved into individuals that can survive outside groups. Thus, they do not need an ant queen. In fact, there are male and female termites, but with the existence of an ant queen, the rest will not reproduce. They might have evolved powerful special termites that can live away from the ant queen and reproduce among themselves." Lu Shu exchanged a look of mixed feelings with Li Yixiao. It was not only humans who were breaching the original natural order, so were these creatures. The delicate balance of nature was about to be disrupted. A new natural order was coming. This was the true new era. Chapter 719, Business Sense. The sample of special termites were taken away for immediate research. The Heavenly Network would try to figure out the details of any changes in them as soon as possible. After the powerful individual termites got rid of the need to live as a group, they formed new communities and reproduced even stronger generations. How many more species were in the midst of such evolution, or worse, had completed it? Lu Shu asked Zhong Yutong. "Tell me the truth. Are you hiding something from me?" "Nope," replied Zhong Yutong. "See how calm you are, old boy. Hurry up and spit it out," Lu Shu urged impatiently. He had a feeling that he was not informed of the whole picture. Since the very beginning, Zhong Yutong and Li Yixiao regarded mutated creatures as a powerful enemy. But how could a peak class C and a peak class B be so worried if their enemies were merely subclass F creatures? Take the current case for instance, an immediate deployment of Earth-type metahumans to search for the existence of other advanced termites would effectively resolve the termite issue, though this method was quite tiring and not smart at all. Clearly, though, Li Yixiao and Zhong Yutong were fearing something more serious. After some consideration, Nailin Ke said, "Actually, we should let you know. In fact, the information has always been highly classified. Yu Mingyu and Zhong Yutong really don't know much due to the classification, but I trust that the information will be safe with you all." Then, she looked at Lu Xiaoyu, which made Lu Shu complain in displeasure. "You can trust Lu Xiaoyu too." Li Yixiao agreed. "He's right. Xiaoyu is a good girl. Just tell them." Lu Xiaoyu nodded sweetly too. She was very cute. "Actually, my family has noticed the changes in Changbai Mountain a long time ago, but Heavenly King Nia has always kept it a secret. Until now, there is an area protected by a formation of knives. In the past, Heavenly King Nia's weapon was not the Xianting sword, and it's said that his old weapon was left in that area to act as a guardian. Even my family is not allowed to get close. It was only after I became a Heavenly King that I learned that the evolution of creatures has long since begun in the region. As of today, it has developed to an unimaginable extent." Lu Shu was stunned. "Unimaginable? What exactly do you mean?" "It's so unimaginable that, even Heavenly Kings have no access to the information," replied Nailin Ke calmly. Dumbfounded, Lu Shu turned his gaze to Li Yixiao, who nodded in agreement. "Yes, none of us have the right to access the information. Only Nie Ting and Shuejin know what on earth is inside, I guess." "Enough discussion on that," said Zhong Yutong after a pause. "Our greatest problem now is the insects, or rather, species with a huge population. It would be easier if it's only powerful individual creatures that we are facing. No such animals are rivals to us, the Heavenly Kings. But insects are a different case. They are ubiquitous, and countless in number. Moreover, summer is coming soon. It'd be a headache if mosquitoes acquire special powers too. Besides, most importantly, we have to protect the commoners, added Zhong Yutong. Lu Shu gave a nod in agreement. Advanced animals like Naughty Pig certainly existed, but they would not pose a threat to human society since they could be easily exterminated. But insects were more hideous, they were emotionless and huge in number. It was quite possible that ants in one's house could suddenly become man-eaters one day. Moreover, the extermination of one group of insects meant nothing to the entire species. Members of their kind would not grieve nor be upset over their deaths. Thus, practitioners had to protect commoners, though termites could forego their less advanced counterparts. But the need to protect others made the practitioners vulnerable. The case of Changbai Mountain also serves as a reminder, Nayland K said, that other species can develop to an as advanced a level as us. We need to watch out. Meanwhile, the rescue mission had unfolded in an orderly manner. Luckily, though, there were not many occupiers of the office building at night. In a small town like Luo City, the balance between work and life was still relatively well maintained. Hence, it was lucky that the incident happened at night. Lu Shu stared at the scene with a serious look on his face. This was only the beginning. The magical era, a double-edged sword, had slashed open an ugly wound in Luo City. Could it be possible that one day, people had to rebuild walls and pick up weapons to guard against those terrifying creatures? This is an issue that the entire human race has to face. It is inevitable, Lu Shu said with a sigh, no matter how strong our race is. How can we survive if humans fall from their dominant position in nature? Even if we can live on, it would be way too lonely. Justice was irrelevant here. Even if humans became the final winner, their action could not be described as justice, nor could the other species be labeled evil. This war was fought on the primeval instinct of survival. Labels such as justice and evil only existed in fairy tales, not the real world. Lu Shu brought Lu Xiaoyu home. He said when he entered the door, "Ask Anthony to bring Little Fury for an underground patrol. Clear all creatures that pose a threat to our community." Okay, Lu Xiaoyu replied with no hesitation. Anthony was on the move at once. One could not question the efficiency of a Class B Earth-type metahuman. In Lu Xiaoyu's estimation, it would take about 2 days to finish checking the entire city. Lu Shu turned and told Little Fury, "Bring along your minions and clear all stray cats and dogs that are aggressive to humans. Also, make sure all rats in Luo City listen to you." In the meantime, topics of the natural order had become a hit on the Golden Foundation forum. It was a common issue faced by almost all cities. Some foreign Earth-type metahumans even formed an organization specialized in exterminating underground mutated pests. Undeniably, they had good business sense. The cockroach-killing industry had now developed into one targeted at mutated creatures. Chapter 720, The Mice Army has entered. Lu Shu, what are we having for dinner? You should start cooking, said Lu Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu. Lu Shu did not catch on. He sat on the sofa and pondered for a long time. What do you think is at Changbai Mountains? Why is Nie Ting so mysterious about it? Probably dinner, said Lu Xiaoyu calmly. From Lu Shu's distress, plus 166. As Lu Shu was cooking, he looked at the courtyard outside the window. Suddenly, he was dumbfounded. Didn't we cut the grass yesterday? Why has it already grown to my knee? This was too fast. What's so weird about that? In the past, we needed to wait for 2 months before our tomatoes were ready. Now, we only have to wait for a week and the tomatoes now taste much better than they did in the past, said Lu Xiaoyu casually. Keep an eye on Little Fury. Even if it is killing the aggressive stray dogs and cats, its underlings cannot be too eye-catching. If people find out that we have an army of mice, Nie Ting might come and surround them, said Lu Shu. The entire world was worried about the mutated creatures. They did not know whether the Heavenly Network was aware that Little Fury had made a promise with Lu Shu and Lu Xiaoyu. But ordinary people would definitely be shocked. Everyone was wary. No matter whether you were a good Fury or a bad one, others would still see you as a threat. Normal people would only be willing to accept a dead Fury. Humans were good at seizing opportunities and running away from danger. Who wanted to have danger around them? Something is wrong. Lu Shu thought of a problem. After cooking tomato noodles with egg, he wiped his hands and took out his phone. He started to browse through the Golden Foundation forum. Lu Xiaoyu came over. What's wrong? The two of them looked at Lu Shu's phone. Lu Shu scrolled through the forum. The most dangerous creatures in the city are not termites or stray dogs. They are mice. As expected, 1/3 of the posts were about the danger of mice. Some said that mice suddenly appeared and chewed on the legs of their tables. Others said that mice had started to attack people. There was even one post about how some mice had eaten up a cat. How frightening. One user uploaded a photo of a mouse that had been killed after much difficulty. It was almost as big as a rabbit. A large volume of blood flowed out. Termites were still specific to certain areas. Some places had termites, while others did not. But mice were different. Which city did not have mice? Someone asked in the forum whether this world would become like those in books about the end of the world, where countless mutated creatures appeared and attacked humans. Creatures of all kinds were already starting to attack humans, right? Many people supported this comment, as everyone felt the danger. But Lu Shu felt that from the current look of things, that would not happen. All species had natural instincts. Fortunately, many species were still unable to break away from their own animal instincts. Although the termites had broken through their original rules of a society, they had not attacked humans. Instead, they built even bigger nests and attacked buildings. For example, cows eat grass. Cows would not suddenly eat humans because of a transformation. Instead, they would try to break free from human control. Their instinct would be to run towards areas with a high concentration of magical energy, as this was the source of their evolution. It would definitely not turn out like in the books about the end of the world, where they fed on humans. They would not be able to evolve even after eating humans. These creatures had not become too intelligent yet. They could not even provide Lu Shu with distress points. But mice were different. Mice were omnivorous. They ate meat, so a mice attack would be very frightening. I didn't expect that we would be able to resolve a snake in the grass unexpectedly. Lu Shu patted his forehead. Earlier, I got Little Fury to eradicate the mutated creatures. It killed all the mice who did not listen to its instructions. Now, all the mice in the underground kingdom are all under its control. Thus, there are mice problems in other places, but not in Luo City. A look at the Golden Foundation forum and one would realize that the mouse problem was very serious. The Heavenly Network members in other places were doing their best to get rid of the mice. But things were different in Luo City. The mice in Luo City were even helping humans to get rid of threats. With such a major incident in Luo City, people would definitely discuss about this matter. They went to look at the Golden Foundation forum and complained, "Are mice really that scary? Mice have killed people in other areas. Are they exaggerating things? Nothing of that sort has happened here." Someone beside added on, "It's definitely nonsense. I went to many places today, but there were no problems with mice. Look at your timeline. If a mouse bit someone, the timeline would be flooded." That's right. Someone laughed in disdain. Netizens like to spout nonsense. They are spreading false rumors. But this time, it was not a rumor. While other areas were busy tackling the mice, Luo City was unharmed. Even the insects underground had been eradicated by Little Fury's mice. Some of these insects were prepared to attack, and some of Little Fury's underlings had even been injured. But since Lu Shu had given Little Fury refresher fruits earlier, the mice army was now stronger. They had over 300 Class F mice now. Every species underground was easily defeated by the mice army. One good step led to another. The most dangerous group of creatures had been controlled. The entire underground was in the hands of Little Fury. But Lu Shu did not think that although they had resolved a greater threat, some insects escaped to the surface. Insects had to live as well. In the long term, there was nothing wrong with this. After all, the insects would multiply and grow stronger underground due to the sewage system. It would spell even greater disaster in the future. But now, they had been forced out by the mice army. This had caused some trouble. The next morning, Little Fury brought its underlings to the underground sewage system and swept across the entire system. After it had settled the problem of stray dogs on land, it started to focus on cleaning up the underground. Once the mice army had entered, not even a blade of grass could grow. Little Fury rode on a large gray mouse with awe-inspiring might. It even had a small backpack on its back. It was somewhat comical. But Little Fury did not care about these details. He wanted to report his achievements to Lu Shu. He had made full use of his potential. Little Fury felt a lot of pressure with 2 demon kings at home. There were few people of such caliber in the country, but there were 2 of them at home. When there was a conflict, or an exploration of the remains, Little Fury was never brought along. They did not think much of its combat power. It could only do odd jobs like washing plates. It was a beautiful creature that had come from the remains to this world. But it started off with a hellishly high level of difficulty. What a terrible game experience. But this time, things were different. When a disaster happened on a large scale in the city, Little Fury was their most useful tool. It finally felt that it was being valued. What an honor. Little Fury had made the little courtyard home early on. Everyone in the courtyard was its family.
What does it mean to be happy? 'Cause it looks like we all don't know. Glass half full or empty, man, we just putting on a show. Try to look to the heavens to tell us things that we better.